Tara, how are you?
I'm doing great. Super excited as always. Right now, we are filming from this beautiful church, Our Lady of the Lakes.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, in fact, and it's very hot.
Very hot and very peaceful.
Yeah, very peaceful. Typical Miami day, right? Like hot and humid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So today, the plan is to talk about karma and how it's useful, how it's looked at from the lens of religions
Mhm.
and science.
Yeah.
And also thinking about the perspective of karma today, as well as in other ages,
Mhm.
how it changes. So, should we kick it off by explaining what is karma?
Yeah. What is the other word if I have to use to describe karma?
Um,
Like a scientific base, what would be an equivalent?
Evolution, natural selection.
So those are all karmic effects. So karma, in essence, means cause and effect for every act. Be it a thought is also an act. There is an effect for that. This concept is known as karma.
Cause and effect.
Yeah. You see a lot of people use that in day-to-day language. If someone is going through a problem or a troublesome time, you might hear them saying like bad karma, right? Yeah, they have done something bad in the past. As a result, they're paying off the price now. And in a sense, it is true. It works as well. So, but there is a level of ignorance across the board in terms of how to analyze karma. Say, how do you know if something is a bad karma or a good karma? Okay. So it again narrows down to the way of Trishul that we spoke before in terms of understanding the three gunas, sattva, rajo, tamo gunas. Any act or any thought that is sattvic will result in good karma. Any act or thought that is tamasic will result in bad karma.
Can we move back just a little bit and explain what sattvic and tamasic
Sure.
means?
So let's say if we have to divide the world into two different things, how would you divide that?
Good and bad.
Good and bad, right and wrong, pure and impure. There is always the opposite side of it.
Yeah.
Sattvic is always on the positive side of things. Tamasic is always on the negative side of things. Rajasic is in between. So a dharmic way is often the Rajasic way, as in like there is neither good nor bad. You just fulfill your purpose. If you have done good, more good than what you have supposed to perform, it's a sattvic behavior. And people respond to sattvic behavior in a good way, reciprocate back. That is known as good karma. If you do something bad, treat someone bad, they will treat you back bad as well. That is known as tamasic behavior. And that results in bad karma.
Yeah. So just to explain what you said, because I think that there's a lot of meaning in what you just said. What you're really saying is that everything is about setting the right expectations.
Yes.
So once you set the right expectations and you are hitting those set expectations, that is the balance. That is neither good or bad. And then on the sattvic side, that's exceeding expectations, right? And then tamasic is not meeting the expectations.
You're absolutely right. Sattvic is exceeding expectations in a positive way. Tamasic is not meeting the expectations, which results in a bad effect. We can take multiple examples. Before we take any example, right, like going back to the question of like, what is karma? What is the equivalent in a scientific manner? We spoke about karma is a concept of using cause and effect for analyzing everything. When we use it effectively, we know what type of behavior is the best behavior. We can evolve from our existing situation or existing perception to that new state as well.
So really, karma is just a way of analyzing.
It's a way of analyzing things for evolution. So whenever we been the most dharmic, we have evolved. That's why the most sattvic person, as per Vedic philosophies, is Brahma, who is the purest of the Brahmin. So Sattva and Brahma, people who know Vedic philosophies, will understand this better. He has the spirit of creation. So that is where the evolution comes from. Where there is tamasic behavior, bad behavior, that has to end. If there is greed, that spirit has to die. That's why it is associated with Rudra. Rudra is the god of tamasic behavior, who is meant to bring destruction towards establishing the righteousness again. And that destruction could be for a thought, death of a thought. For a person or anything living, death of that body itself. Yeah.
But evolution requires both destruction and creation.
Evolution requires both destruction and creation. You are absolutely right. That's what we have been seeing throughout the history. But what happens to someone who can see beyond destruction and creation and act?
They are able to use both.
Use both to evolve without creating the heat or negative effect or inefficiencies.
And they can evolve very fast.
Very fast. And these most evolved beings are known as devas as per Vedas. They are beyond the three gunas, sattva, rajo, tamo gunas. They use this knowledge and information to evolve without going through the destruction. I will give you one example. Do you know who is the most evolved species among humans?
The most detached, most pure.
Most righteous people, truth-speaking people. They're most evolved. And they had all the name and fame throughout the history. Be it the likes of Muhammad, Jesus Christ, Moses, Krishna, as in Krishna Dvaipayana,
And scientists as well.
and Buddha, and the scientists. The best scientists are said to be enlightened, as in like they don't just use logical brain, they use both logical and intuitive way of thinking towards achieving anything. And
Because they are detached.
yeah, one has to be detached to be able to perceive it from a higher perspective. Right? That is very essential. Now, among all these people, we mentioned these people as the most evolved people. The reason why they were most evolved, because you see Jesus, for example, Krishna, for example, even Muhammad, they understand these three gunas inside out. And they created a framework that people can use towards setting themselves up in a righteous path. And that framework, we call it as religion. And there are many prophets that followed these great messiahs who have updated the religion to suit the day and time requirements back then. Among all the people that have ever existed, these people are the most successful. And there is a reason for this success as well. Do you know what?
Well, they had to have been the most pure because they were creating this framework not for themselves, they were creating the framework for the evolution of humanity as a whole.
They have to create this framework of evolution, humanity as a whole. And for them to create this positive spirit, a spirit of religion, the spirit or thought of God as a whole, they have to become the most sattvic as well. And they have to use sattva guna to their advantage. That means show love and compassion. That will create a positive spirit, that will change people. Even the bad people will change over time. They're not meant to be bad, it is just the ignorance. So sattvic qualities are essential for our evolution as well, not just for prophets and sages, for regular people as well. A person who understands these three gunas will be able to negate any karmic effects,
Yeah.
as in they can act in a way that they will not be under any negative karmic effect, and they will be more successful in life because there is nothing that will be stopping them if there is no karmic effect. A bad karmic effect is often something like a inefficiency. It's like the heat being produced when you're traveling at the speed of light, right? Imagine a space vehicle re-entering the Earth orbit. You know how hot it gets, right? Because the friction that it creates with the atmosphere is resulting in that. People who understand these gunas, they are like someone who doesn't have any friction in anything they do. Everything they wish will be possible because they will be working towards the most efficient way. That's why they're known as devas. So these yogis and sages that have written from all religions, not just Hinduism, they predicted the creation of lower heaven as well on earth. That means humans becoming more evolved using these qualities towards becoming devas, unstoppables.
I wanted to go back to what you said briefly about how devas are able to go beyond karmic effects and beyond karma in general because they are able to use it and understand it and be in that mindset to analyze everything and always do what is best to achieve that purpose. So really all being a deva means is living in a way that is right, which means that anyone and everyone can be a deva.
Yes, anyone and everyone can be a deva. Like, all it takes is their willpower in doing the right thing in every aspect of it. The problem with today's society is even if you want to become like that, the system and framework that we have around us doesn't encourage us to do. You know, if you go to isolation in US for a few months, you'll be looking for a job again.
Yeah.
You cannot become a yogi or go through this practice altogether because the system forces you to be in this cycle. Yeah. Well, if we can change that, I think that will be for the greater good. Humans as a whole can evolve. Do you think we should take this for some time later? We need
Yeah.
to start some examples on karma, and then we can come back to the concept of like how we can change the system.
Okay. What do you mean by examples of karma?
So we just spoke about sattva, rajo, tamo gunas, and we spoke about like how everyone's act is going to determine if it is they're going to receive good karma or bad karma, or no karma at all, like no binding. So for that, we need to take few examples and see how we can apply this into day-to-day life.
Okay.
How can we be sure that this thing works in first place?
Yeah.
Now, there is a lot of misconception around the place that karma is some superstitious thing. Only God knows it. Not everyone knows it. Only He can tell in clarity. In Mahabharata, you see Krishna in multiple occasions predicting karmic effects. Actually, it can be done by a regular person as well. So the basic concept of karma, as we discussed before, is cause and effect. Cause and effect, and how do we apply in day-to-day life? You see a lot of people saying like, what you express is what you attract. You can use that simple logic to analyze cause and effect. You express purity, you attract purity, good people. You will also attract some bad people. One who understands the gunas properly will know if that person is a bad person or good person as well. Because look at the purpose of the person. And if you look at someone's purpose, it will tell us if they're bad or good. If it is a self-serving purpose for their self-interest, it is of course impure. If it is for a greater purpose in a detached way, it is the purest. Now, when you discuss with a person or do any work with a person, if their intention or thought process is towards completely self-serving, your association with such person will result in bad karmic effects, because a self-serving person cannot do justice to both the people. He will only do justice to himself.
Uh-huh.
Their mindset will be towards doing everything for their interest. And when it goes to the extreme, it gets really, really bad. I will give you one example. When someone is self-absorbed, and if it goes to the extremes, they use their intellect towards serving them. At least their way of thinking would be like, how do I use this person for my need? Be it a friend, be it anything. And when people see that behavior, of course, there is a lot of negativity that happens for the opposite person as well. And if they are focused towards the greater good, for everyone's good, then they will be very welcomed. And that's the purest level that we are talking about. Self-serving people always attract self-serving people as well. As a result, when they are in need, they cannot find good people to help them either, because no one will be trusting them. If you're doing everything in your interest, why would anyone trust you? Be it your own family, they won't trust you either. So they're setting themselves up on a very bad path, which destroys their career. These people, when they are born in good times as in the yuga cycle when it changes, you might see a day and time where everything is done based on purpose. In those times, the sanskaras that they have developed as part of this self-serving, they're very hard to get off as well. And they will be treated as Rakshasas. Rakshasas as in evil people. Today's day and time, there is ignorance across the board. And everyone is living in a day and time where ignorance is bliss. So there is no punishment happening. But as we keep these things going, when people are reborn in a good time, they have to go through a very harsh condition. And in that day and time, they will be praying to God and asking Him, why did you create me like this? It's not the God that created them like that. It's the good times that led them to the bad path and misuse of that. For that, they're paying the price. Even the people that are paying the price today, it's as a result of the ignorance that they have shown in this life or the previous ones. And they would have been very happy if they would have done the right thing. That's what they will be thinking in the future.
Yeah. Good things lead to good outcomes.
Exactly.
It sounds like a very obvious thing,
Yeah.
but I think that it's more complicated than that, because going back to the example of dealing with somebody who's self-absorbed, right? If let's say you're going into a business deal with somebody who you see and notice and accurately observe as somebody who is self-absorbed. When you observe them to be self-absorbed, in that case, the wrong thing to do would be to let them into your business and out of niceness, let them work with you, right? That's the wrong thing to do.
Exactly.
And in that case, the right thing to do would be to cut it off, let them go. And I think that there's currently also not very clear idea of what we mean when we say right and wrong, because sometimes people think that when you're talking about karma and doing the good thing, we're saying to always treat people with like niceness and kindness and all of that. Yes, be loving, but you also have to respect the purity of the organization that you're building by not letting the wrong people enter that organization.
So today, that is part of ignorance. In the name of being nice, we are letting bad things happen. That's enabling ignorance as well. And that's adharma as per every religion, as in unrighteousness as per every religion too. And that has to be cut off. And it could be either by harsh response or it could be even the smoother response. If you see the way of Jesus or Krishna, it's with love and compassion. If you see the way of like other deities that are mentioned in Vedic philosophies like Rudra, Bhairava, it comes with a lot of destruction. Yes. So there will be more collateral damage in that way.
Right.
The way of Christ and Krishna is kind of the most smoothest way, most efficient way to get the karmas burned too.
So, is over niceness, would that be a tamasic behavior, or would that be a sattvic behavior that has negative effects?
That's a sattvic behavior that has negative effects. We want people to be nice, knowing that they are nice. We don't want people to be nice and use that as a reason for all their shortcomings as well. So I will give you a few examples. Right, one example, you see a lot of people saying like, I'm a very nice guy, but bad things always happen to me. You're not meant to be nice for bad things either. You're meant to be right for the right things. And decide bad for bad and right for right. You agree or not?
Yes, I agree, but can we go more into detail with this example? So, if let's paint a picture of something that happens
Yeah.
in this nice guy's life. He is overly nice towards a girl, let's say, and the girl treats him poorly because of that. Can you go further into that example?
Yeah. So dharma is all about setting the right expectations. Now, let's say if someone is overly nice, a bad person, they will encounter bad results. Tamasic person. And in your example, you mentioned a guy is being nice to a girl, and girl is self-serving, let's say. Then she might use the guy to her advantage. If they're self-serving, let's say if it goes into a manipulation phase, whatever the girl wants, she will be only listening to those things, or she will be only asking for those things. They don't do anything true to the purpose as well for them. A self-serving person, they might call a person friend, but they're not true friend for them. For them, they want them as a friend when they need them as a friend. They want them as a helper when they need them as a helper. They want them for money when they need them for money.
Yeah.
So I know I'm not trying to profile any person over there, but it's a common behavior that we also find often in the society.
Yeah.
And understanding the rights are right and wrongs are wrong and acting upon it in a right way is very important.
Yeah. And the clear thing here that you're saying is setting the right expectations on both sides. No matter what the encounter is, you have to make sure that the expectations are clear so that the other person understands what they need to do and you understand what you need to do. And by setting the right expectations and making that clear, even though that might be very difficult to do, it eliminates all karmic effects if you actually reach those expectations.
Yeah, it is. You are absolutely right. If we can set the right expectations, the problem with dealing with a bad person in this scenario that we are talking about, a good person with a bad person association, right? Some people are beyond help as well. For them, they are not open to listen anymore. They feel they know everything because for them, they think it's working for them, whatever they're doing.
And it is, in a way, right? It is working for them.
Yeah. The more wider the ignorance, the more well it works. It doesn't work in a age and time when people are smarter.
Yeah.
When they do right for right and wrong for wrong, right? They will realize what kind of behavior this leads to and what kind of problems it leads to. Someone who sets themselves in the path of tamasic behavior or bad behavior, over time they will become worse and worse, and it will become a psychiatric condition. And the treatment gets worse and worse too. These are karmic efforts they're paying. Let's say if they have done it even worse, it is said in Vedas that they will be degraded to a lower life form as well. If they have done a lot of good, higher life form as in divinity as well, reborn in the kingdom of heaven. Is what is written, right? Like, yeah. So time enhances everything. So having an open attitude and understanding everything in openness is the first step. One who is not open cannot learn anything. There is a famous Buddhist saying, right? You cannot fill a glass that is already full. You have to empty your glass every time. That's the key for learning for everyone. He who thinks that he knows already has nothing else to learn.
Okay, so going,
Overloaded?
my glass is empty.
Your glass is empty. Okay.
I need to pour my glass out.
Yeah.
So we explain karma from the lens of science, right? Cause and effect. But I would love to look at it from the lens of Christianity and Islam and some other religions as well. Because as we said, karma is really just a way of analysis. It's nothing superstitious. It's just cause and effect.
Yeah, and this is mentioned in every religion as well. They might not have used the exact word karma. Doing what is right is all what every religion speaks in every aspect of life. Of course, they claim with a prescription that is best suited for that age and time. And people are following it, and that religion as a concept has helped humanity to evolve where we are today. We have to give it its due credit as well. We had very tough times in the past as a species, and this concept of religion has helped us to overcome those. Now, to your question, how do I explain cause and effect in a Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or anywhere, right? Like, I think Buddhism also speaks a lot about karma. But I will give you quick examples. The entire universe, the world, operates on how a person makes other person feel, or a person makes other being feel. Anything, or a being makes other being feel, to be more appropriate. Now, in this scenario, you can use this law of feelings to analyze karma as well. You can consider this as a scientific way of analyzing. I will give you one example. Like, let's say if there is a manager, and if a manager has 2 employees, and he is supposed to give promotion to the best performer, but he gives to the other person because he is attached to whatever reason, right? Now, the person that has received this promotion will be probably thinking that, hey, being nice with the manager helped them, and that's the way they're going to grow. So they're destroying their future by setting wrong expectations for themselves. It's a karmic effect for accepting the promotion as well. You understand? It's not just giving guy. For accepting also, they are paying a karmic effect. And the other person who didn't get the promotion will be thinking hard work doesn't pay out. You have to be nice to your boss to succeed in life. If they go that route, they're destroying their career too, right? For any of these people, there is a chance to act in a right way as well, right? Like, even the employees can act in a right way and negate the negative karmas too. And for the manager, he's going to have a bad relation with his best performer which is going to impact the efficiency of the team. And he enabled a non-performer, which is going to be setting new standard for rest of the team. Yeah, if there exist more team members in that.
Right. So in this example, for the employee that is the best performer and did not get the promotion, what is the right thing for him to do in that case?
Very good question. So first and foremost thing that needs to be done is to ensure that the wrongs are righted. As in, they can have a conversation with their HR or manager himself, explaining the consequences of what they have done. When the reasoning is given, everyone does the right thing, or at least realizes what they have done, and they will understand the price that has to be paid as well. If there is an inefficiency in an organization and in a team, it impacts the customers that you are serving, it impacts the general public, it impacts the life of the people that are working there. Their personal lives will not be happy either. Imagine you enabled a wrong behavior in that person, and that person will be expecting the same thing in their personal life too. Because what we express in one aspect of life, we see that resonate in all aspects of life as well. The amount of damage being done there for one wrong act is a lot. And you see how karmas play out here, like good and bad karmas. It also happens internal to your thought process as well. So karma is not just the karma that you execute. There are 3 types of karmas. Mana karma means the karma of the mind, the thought process. Vak karma, the way you speak, has karmic effects. And the other karma is the karma by action. Okay? Has effects too. So mana karma, if someone thinks about impurity a lot, an attachment to something a lot, that goes and becomes a disorder, an obsessive disorder too. And why do we see so much health-related problems, mainly the mental-related problems, right? Because when there is no proper framework that corrects right for right and wrong for wrong, things go beyond. And we see this happen from a law point of view as well. There are so many laws out there that doesn't establish right for right and wrong for wrong. They're giving leeway for doing wrong for the wealthy. Right? Like you can pay off a fine and get out of it. And if you go into a country that has less righteousness, you can get away by bribing people all around the place. And this is very common. Imagine a manager has so much impact on the customers, both the employees and his team. If a person at the highest level does the wrong thing, it impacts the entire society, entire the world as a whole. And we see on the face of it, the name of countries keep changing, the name of religions keep changing, the name of everything keeps changing, because it is ultimately based on the wrongs we do. If in the name of religion there is so much bad that happens, that religion will receive hatred too. A religion is no exception for that. If a country promote bad behavior, the country will most likely be out of business.
Yeah.
And we have seen many countries go through that cycle. And this is also applicable at an economy level too. Why do you see so many stock market crashes? Because what is right is not being done. And as the amount of great piles up, the crashes increase.
Can we quickly go back to a phrase that you used, burning of karma? Can you explain what that means?
You have heard this phrase, burning of karma, a lot,
Uh-huh.
for spiritual speakers. And by people who follow Tantra. As you remember, right, like we discussed about what is karma. Karma as in any bad action will result in bad karma, good action will result in good karma. And first the action develops as sanskara, which is your cellular memory.
Um,
Like let's say if someone walks in a awkward way, their genetics will be modified after a certain time to give that look and appearance. Right? Like that is what we call as DNA and genes. The sanskaras are manifested as genetic code. Now, burning karmas, meaning burning your genetics, bad genetics, and purifying your body, mind, as well as purpose. You cannot purify body in isolation,
right. All three.
all three of them, because all three are one and same. A good thought process will purify body, mind, and soul.
So burning of karma.
Okay. So let me explain burning of karma. Again. So when it comes to the burning of karma, one can burn the karma by understanding the three gunas, sattva, rajo, tamo gunas, understand the way they are behaving, and understand that every behavior is associated with a sanskara, good or bad. And the type of behavior, if it is bad, they have work to do and burn it out. And meditating on what that could be. A yogi is someone who constantly meditates on things and observes the minute details, right? I will give you one example. How can a yogi observe someone if they're in a bad sanskara and something has to be burned or not? Let's say if a person speaks a lot about themselves, that's a clear indication that they've been thinking always about themselves in their mind. And that will become self-obsession at one point in time, develop as ego, and will destroy themselves. So understanding that and engaging in a behavior or discipline where one thinks on the lines of purity will help them purify and remove those bad karmas as well.
So to summarize what you've said, all the phrase burning of karma, all that all that the phrase means is stepping into awareness of whatever the situation is, whether it's of body, mind, or whether it's any type of the three karmas. Just stepping into awareness and then doing some kind of change to correct what was wrong or right.
There are different ways that are taught through the history in terms of doing it. One of the way is an yogic way where one can create a personality internal to them that watches them from above, identifies right for right and wrong for wrong, treating that person as an outsider. That will give you a pure perspective and will help you realize the wrongs for wrongs and rights for rights. That is one of the fastest way of burning. But one has to calm their mind to be able to do this. If one is attached to things, they will be reacting to everything as well.
Yeah.
We cannot have them think from that perspective. There are other ways as well. In the old days, we used to have this concept of guru, teacher, who monitors the person and helps them in their journey in this process. Of course, there are psychiatric consultations nowadays, but their way of explanation is a bit different. And there are also some other ways that we have seen in the Vedic philosophies. By use of mantras, one can cleanse and purify, asking the oneness to provide the divine light and intelligence to be able to burn their own karmas. And you see, people, when they die, as per Vedic philosophies, it is mentioned that they went to Vaikunta or they went to Kailasa. You hear a lot. And these are the places where there is purest level of thought and divinity. That has to be the aspiration for everyone. If they aspire for that in this life, their life will be better in next life at least. If not in this life, I'm sure it will be better in this life too in many ways. Yeah. But the society as a whole is not very encouraging as of today for doing the right thing as well.
So, society is not working with us. We've mentioned that quite a few times, right? So, in a time like now, when doing the wrong thing is rewarded more, the best way to correct that would be to just bring everything into awareness, call out everything.
Everything.
That's a very hard thing to do because now, especially in the younger generations, what I've noticed is that people really love to just be more passive and less confrontational.
The way of Krishna, the Sattvic way, is always constructive speech. Help them realize it.
Do you have any tips on how to improve constructive speech?
Everything comes with practice. So, one tip I would say, if someone wants to practice all these aspects, they have to work with someone to do this. If you're by yourself, then you have to create two perspectives in your mind, which would sound like a multiple personality order, not multiple personality disorder. But, and if you have a debate between those two perspectives, you will come to a cleaner thought process and mind, and you will burn your karmas away. And in that process, you will also understand the best way of putting things forward to help others as well. Without getting into a confrontation, if you can send this video to some bad people that you know, they will be like, yeah, I think I should work on that. Right? It helps
Yeah.
the most efficient way. And you can ask the feedback also, how is our podcast?
Give us a rating, subscribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other way that I wanted to mention, because I think a lot of people have read How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a very famous book. And one of the things that Dale Carnegie mentions in this book is having a council. So you can build your council with people that you really admire.
Yep.
And then bring a decision to that council. And of course, all of this is happening in your mind because you don't actually most likely know these people that you love. And they can be people from the past, present, future, whatever. And you bring a decision to them and see how they would respond from their perspectives and how they would analyze that decision.
I completely agree. Yeah, I think that's one of the best way for someone to start. Build an external council. If you can do it internally inside your own brain, it's even better. And imagine if you can build a council with divinities and have them speak with each other in doing the right thing.
Yeah. It would be so fun.
It will be word of the God itself.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Spirit of the truth. Such council will be the best council.
And eventually, once you start using that console enough and start viewing every decision or every action from the perspective of these people that you admire, you will eventually have the qualities that you admire so much and become closer to these devas or these people that are on your council.
I completely agree. Actually, this is very well explained in Kandoka Upanishad. It talks about a bird on a top branch watching a restless bird on the lower branch, jumping around from branch to branch, eating food, watching the bird upstairs and its calmness. And eventually this bird on the lower branch sometimes sits with the bird on the top branch and becomes calm as well. So when you create that external perspective, which is yourself or outside, you will be able to calm your mind, clear your karmas, and work towards purity. That's the reason why religions invented the concept of God as well, because they are asking you to look from the perspective of the God, from the third person perspective, and see right for right and wrong for wrong and do the right thing.
And become closer
Closer,
to
yeah.
that God perspective.
And it has worked for us. In today's day and time, where there is more acceptance for reasoning, it might sound superstitious because we don't understand thoughts very well. We don't understand consciousness very well. But the reality, the way of God, is a scientific way to help us be most efficient as a society and as a being, as in all aspects.
And the other thing that this relates to is that really famous saying of you are the average of the people around you. So if you surround yourself either in this physical world or in your mental, if you surround yourself with the right people, you will become closer to them.
Yes, if you are you the average of the people around you?
Am I?
Yeah.
I would say yes. Yeah, in some ways, although I feel like lately I have been able to notice more, so I can change myself.
Yeah.
But I do really think that the people around you matter a lot because the way that they speak influences the way that you speak, the way that you think, and everything is connected. So why not be more connected to the people that you admire and the people that you want to be more like?
Yeah. So, in reality, when it comes to being an average of the people around you, it's mainly applicable for the people who react to the society. They will be absorbing information from the people around them. But as you mentioned, if people are learning by themselves, they can do way better than being an average. And to your point, right, like internally or externally, you are average of the people that you are around you. You know why Jesus called himself as God, as Father himself? Because he has all these perspectives in his mind.
Yeah.
He's an average of all the perspectives that he has in the mind. That's the reason why he called himself as Father.
The God was the move.
Anything else you want to touch on in terms of karma? And then also, I wanted to touch a little bit about the mana karma that you mentioned, because I have not heard of that before. So it would be nice to do an example of that as well.
Quick thing about mana karma. There is a famous saying. There is a famous saying from Swami Vivekananda.
Right?
What you think will become your words. What your words will become your actions. What your actions will become your habits. Your habits will become your character. So the root of everything is the thought. So karma always starts at the thought level. If thought is at its purest, the actions and everything can be controlled. That's why it's known as the karma of the mind. The way you think determines what kind of karmas you will be leading yourself to.
Yeah. So all the three karmas, they're all very, very connected.
Actually, one who is in control of their own mind can create their own destiny in this way, because they control even the thoughts that are happening inside their mind. And when you can put in order to those thoughts, it will... Cat is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice cat.
When you control your thoughts in a constructive way, it leads to the best personality one can create.